Independent presidential candidate Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has been denied a debate appearance and is struggling to get supporters to dig in deep for donations. Despite recent pitfalls, though, he's still battling to get his name on ballots across the country. CBS News has confirmed so far he's only done so in 6 states. And now, a new report from Vanity Fair is leveling a range of new allegations about his conduct. The author of that article, Joe Hagan, joins us now. He's a special correspondent for Vanity Fair. Joe, good to see you. Thanks so much for being here. Really stunning reporting here. I want to talk about this sexual assault allegation against RFK Jr., which he did not deny when asked about it today. Tell us about how, what you are learning about this, what you found.
Yeah. Well, I began this reporting about 2 months ago, and I started to hear, whispers of this kind of thing, and reached this woman who had been through a long process of trying to decide whether she wanted to come forward. As you can imagine, it requires a lot of guts to come on the record and talk about things like this in public against a figure like Bobby Kennedy, who's a powerful man from a powerful family. And today, as you just pointed out, those allegations came out. She was a babysitter for him in 1999, 1998. And he made some advances on her, unwanted advances on her, groped her, she says. She recorded some of this in a diary that was concurrent with the Times. Now, he was asked about it point blank today, and he said he had no comment on it, and also made some other comments that, he's no church boy, and what he did in his youth, he's got skeletons in his closet, he said. Well, he was 45 at the time of these allegations, which sort of post-youth, as far as I can tell. But so he's not said anything about him. He hasn't expanded on it. He hasn't rebutted it.
Yeah, not a denial there in the least. I'm curious, too, in your reporting, I mean, how much does the Kennedy family know about this candidate's conduct? I mean, it was striking, obviously, earlier this year. Lots of members of the Kennedy family made a point to endorse Joe Biden. But what have you found?
Well, the family is well aware of a history that has also been reported elsewhere, and which I recorded in my piece, that he, had various affairs over the years, that during the time he was married to his second wife, and, some of his purported diaries leaked out into the press a few years ago, and, they're aware of it. They're aware of a lot of his behaviors and pathologies, in which some of them were described to me by family members. But there's a really interesting quote in my piece where I asked somebody very close to the family, I said, why won't the family be more public about what they know about him? And the answer was that, if you start to unravel the problems with Bobby Kennedy Jr., you may unravel the whole family tapestry. And so, the mythology of the Kennedys is still a thing that they protect, very strongly. And that's why it's so painful for them to have to criticize him publicly in the ways they do.
Yeah, that's fascinating, Joe. I mean, I think a lot of people also obviously knew him for his name and also have known him for a while for promoting these, anti-vaccine claims. I'm curious what you found the impact of that has been.
Well, that was, concurrently with a lot of the things I'm writing about, including the assault allegation. He went through a period of slowly breaking away from the environmental movement that he had made his name on. He was the face of some very progressive climate-focused groups like River Keepers and NRDC, the National Resource Defense Council. And as he began to make these claims, they began to step away from him because these were, not science-based claims, and they were science-based organizations. And by 2014, he'd broken with a couple of these groups, and after he met with Trump in 2017, Riverkeeper stepped away from his as well, and that sort of it's a breaking point. And ever since then, he's embraced the anti-vax movement as his primary sort of crusade.
Right. Well, Joe Hagan, thank you so much for your time and reporting. We encourage everybody to read your piece out in Vanity Fair. We appreciate your time.
Thank you.